And this workshop is going to, we are going to focus on how we do that. And as with in the last session, I think a lot of the solutions are there. It's just about getting to know them, getting the tips, and keeping them in mind, making it a good habit when we communicate with people. And again, we do not need to think about each and every person who is going to listen to what we are sending audio message or who's part of the conversation. We just need to keep the good practices in mind. And with that, as one of my friends gleefully suggested, I can talk lesser. And I will introduce you to Amar Jain, who is going to be taking you through these tips today. Amar is a lawyer and he has a wonderful NGO called Mission Accessibility, and they do a lot of work on accessibility. He's also certified international accessibility expert. And today we are fortunate to have him to do this workshop today. So with that, over to Amar, and please do not hesitate to ask us in case you do not understand anything or you need us to do anything differently to make it more desirable. Thank you. Over to Amar.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Oh, perfect. All right. So, last session we saw how to make documents accessible, and one of the things that was talked about was creating proper headings, right? And the document that you see on the projector on the screen and what the list that you're saying, that's a heading list. So that's a benefit of doing things right. I will straight away jump to a few concepts. Just to tell you about this concept, this campaign. This is leveraging social media accessibility for all. This campaign was designed by Meta and Saksham, and our intention is to make sure that every social media content that we consume, be it post in form of text, be it post in form of images, be it audio video content, and everything else that we see on the social media should be made accessible for all persons with disabilities. With that intention in mind, I'll straight away jump to a few concepts and then we'll quickly get to the real business. So the first concept that I want to touch base upon was people with disabilities, right? Very quickly, people with disabilities could be categorized into 4 types of broad buckets. One, those who may have physical limitations. Second, those who may have mental limitations in terms of their thinking capacity, their IQ levels, etc. Third could be those who may have sensory limitations. So 5 senses in our body, and any of those senses could be one of the limitations. And the other categories, the fourth category is basically people who may have intellectual disability, neurological disorders, things like that, right? Now, each type of disabilities needs are different, and each type of person needs different solutions. For someone who's a person with physical disabilities, say a locomotor disability, we need devices that can allow them to use gadgets, technology, or consume content without too much of movement, or devices that assist their movement with the body parts that are functioning well, right? For people who have intellectual disability, will need content in a way that they can understand easily. It could mean representing the same content through different colors, different means, or creating content in a way which is easily understandable, it does not distract focus, etc. So every person's needs are different, and to create content which maximizes the potential of its use by everybody is actually called creating accessible content. So that's the second concept that I quickly wanted to touch upon, is basically what do you mean by creating accessible content. So far, everyone with me? Okay. And here I have an accessibility challenge where my Software is completely stopped. Just give me 1 second.
So this is Nirmita. In the meantime, I just want to say that we will be passing around, I hope if one of the volunteers is available, a tag with a QR code, and if you scan it, it will take you directly to a page on the campaign website, the Leveraging Social Media for All, Accessibility for All campaign, which is supported by Meta. It will take you to the website and you can get a glance at the tips to make social media accessible, which Amar is going to cover today.
So thank you. Now, with this, and I don't need to really stress upon the importance of social media communication everybody uses in our day-to-day life, right? So I'm going to skip that bit. The first thing that we do on social media is we write post, right? Simple text post. Now, if we are writing text, then a few things that we need to keep in mind from accessibility perspective. One being that our sentences should be small. They should not be very, very large sentences. Because large sentences often make it difficult to read for everyone, including people with sight, but especially for people with disabilities. Reading longer sentences is a problem. So keeping sentences small. If you're a screen reader user, then a pro tip would be when you are creating a line or a paragraph, make sure you don't have to arrow down more than twice. That makes sure that the content is small enough. Second thing which is very important, sometimes what happens is in order to gauge attention or in order to stress an importance of a particular sentence or a line, we love to capitalize it. All caps writing, right? But that at times can be a problem. Because if you're writing SC and at that point your software may just say SC as opposed to as abbreviations for Supreme Court, for example. So if at times it can also happen if you're writing all sentences or all lines in all caps, it may read it as each single letter. So for SUPREMECOURT, instead of reading it as Supreme Court, because every letter is capitalized. So using camel case language, wherein your after the full stop, first letter of every word basically, after a punctuation or rather full stop, has to be capital, rest all small. That is what we do when we write sentences. So far clear? The next topic that I wanted to touch upon is alt text, and I am not going to spend too much time explaining what alt text is, because I'm presuming a couple of people are from the last session who are carrying on to this session, but I'll still give a meaningful kind of context of what alt text is. So the next thing that we do after putting our text quotes is we would like to decorate them with photographs. It could be photographs that we take into a particular, say, a hall or a party or any occasion that we want to kind of be memorable in our memories for times to come, right? As a person with blindness, when you look at photos, what really happens? It just, for you, without description, it just becomes a photograph that you just know that it's a photograph, right? But if you put meaningful description of the picture along with the photograph, it makes the entire experience beautiful. Do you want to see how do we do that? Yes? No? Yes. Okay, let's get to it. Now I'm on my browser window. And let's do one exercise. Is everybody ready? Yes. Could you all click picture of the people sitting around you and yourself? Just keep a picture ready and open any of your social media platform. And if possible, if everybody is on LinkedIn, then let's just use LinkedIn for efficient use of time. Otherwise, I could have demonstrated on different platforms. But considering the time limitation, let's just use LinkedIn. Just let me know when everybody is ready, and let's try to complete this in next 1 minute, please. Done? Everybody ready? No? Okay. We just give it 3 more seconds. Ready everyone? Oops. Okay, never mind. Now, when you put this picture, try and upload this picture onto a post and tag Saksham and say we are all learning social media, we are all leveraging social media accessibility for people with disabilities and everyone else in Empower 2023. And please just create the post, don't post it yet, and upload the image. Everybody done that? You need to tag Saksham in this post and say we are learning social media accessibility for all at Empower 2023 or whatever else you may want to say.
So how can we get it?
Sorry, how can we?
Get it.
How can we tag?
Get the. How can we get the image?
How can you get? I asked you to put a click a picture, right? If you don't have an image, maybe if anyone could WhatsApp or any volunteer can help. Yes, somebody needs, if somebody needs. And just let me know when everybody is done. Is everybody done? Basically, type @ and put name of Saksham, SAKSHAM. For those who can see my screen, I'm showing it live. Or maybe you may just want to tag, if you're not able to follow or find Saksham, you may want to tag Empower Conference. So, okay, let's just, instead of, if for those who are not able to find Saksham, let's just do Empower. Are you able to get that? Okay.
After tagging Saksham, what should I type, sir?
Type Learning Social Media Accessibility at Empower 2023. Organized by Saksham. Is everybody done? So here is Empower Conference. Okay, we tagged it and we are saying learning social media accessibility. I'm not just going to type the post, but what I want to show you how to post alt text. Let's say now I don't have any other picture, but I have one picture that so that's my photo, right? So now what we'll do, everybody added put picture? Okay. There is an option called alternative text. Do you see this? Does everybody see this? So this is a place where you can write the description of the image. So the description, now can anybody tell me from here who has clicked the pictures, what could be one meaningful description of the picture? Very quickly guys. Because then we'll move on to the next. Any meaningful description of the picture that you have clicked?
Social media accessibility workshop.
Okay. Yes, please could you be louder? That's very good. A group of people sitting. And possibly if you, I don't know if the picture captures the background of how the hall looks like or what is there nearby you, etc. If something of that sort also is there in the picture. So it could be say a group of people sitting around a couple of tables and chairs. The background of the picture is something like this, etc. And you type it here, right? And then we do next. Let's say I'm just saying photo. And for instance on LinkedIn the character limit for typing alt text is 1000. Okay? I clicked on add and now you simply post it. Okay? So what will happen as an assistive technology user, what will happen is when I look at this post, that this description that we wrote in the alt text column is not visible to a normal user who's not using assistive technology. Okay, but when I use my screen reading software, this description will be visible to me. So doesn't this make the entire experience accessible and worthwhile for me as well? Every disability has a different need, right? There will also be people who are not able to hear, or sound of somebody laughing, sound of somebody crying, or you know the speaker who's speaking, identification of the speaker, right? Those are equally important cues when you're watching something or when you're listening to something. All those things are absolutely important, and that creates an immersive experience. So how do you communicate that for them? Very good. Captions. So captions is basically a small box appears into the video at a particular defined place in the video, which displays the text of what is being spoken, and it is not just what is being spoken. This is a basic difference between captions and subtitles. Subtitles basically is just a verbatim text of the dialogue, but a caption contains more than that, which could mean speaker identification, sound at the background of anything specific as I mentioned, and couple of those things. So having captions in the video is equally important. Now your next question should be ideally that how do we really generate captions? Okay? So to generate captions there are 2-3 things that we can do. One, of course, we can manually type the captions for the entire video audio. Okay? Entire audio can be converted into captions by manual typing. But then we obviously don't have time as human beings, we are all busy in our lives. So AI comes to help. So platforms like YouTube, platforms like Vid AI have caption generation facility where after uploading the video and before publishing the video, you can have AI generate automated captions for you based on what is spoken in the video. But of course that needs slight editing because the speaker names sometimes could be gotten wrong or sometimes the content will need minor editing, but at least you have that facility. So when we upload our video through YouTube, before we publish, you first publish it as private and there's an option to generate captions automatically. And once the caption file is generated, it is embedded in the video. So that you don't need to do anything and you can upload the video with captions so that it is accessible for people with speech and hearing impairment. To another important aspect of social media, which is color contrast. And color contrast is a problem for not only people with disabilities but also for people who are senior citizens, people who may have color blindness, people who may have difficulty differentiating between colors, right? So dark text on a dark background color makes it easy to read or difficult to read? Difficult to read. Okay. Light yellow text on a white background. Difficult. Okay. Now, background is dark, color is light. Okay, easy to read, right? So, when we put out our posters, images, those fancy Canva design posts, etc., it's very, very important to take care of the color contrast ratios. The very simple principle to keep in mind is that the color ratio of the foreground and background, the contrast ratio between foreground and background should be 4.5:1. Now you will say, how do I measure this? So the simplest answer to that is, you Google for something called as color contrast analyzer. Color contrast analyzer, it's a web page which will allow you to specify the foreground and the background color, or there are color pickers that you can choose from, or you can also specify the RGB values, etc. Put the text and just check whether it passes the contrast ratio or not. If it does not pass, then that means we need to relook at our color designs. Is this clear to everybody? Okay. Next thing that I will touch upon in social media accessibility is hashtags. We all use hashtags, right? Majority, at least.
Yes.
Right? So, now when we are putting out hashtags, as I said, it's very important to, even when the hashtag is composed of more than one word. So let's say when the word is hashtag accessibility for all. Okay? Typically the way we write is accessibility A capital, F and A of for and all small. But that's not how we should write hashtags. Just make first letter of every word capital so that it is easier to read for screen readers. Simple?
Easier to read for everyone.
And for everyone, of course. But I'm specifically stressing on screen readers because otherwise what happens is, if only the first letter of the first word is capital and rest all is small, instead of reading it as accessibility solutions or accessibility for all, it may just read accessibility solutions, like without proper space or without it being treated as a separate word. Sorry?
Accessibility type or
Correct. So basically the point is, make sure that the first letter of every word is capital when we are using hashtag, and of course hashtag without spaces between words because it breaks the hashtag at all. So no spaces between words, without spaces, but first letter capital. Okay. The next thing that we often do on social media is we also put out emojis, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, many times we, instead of putting the emoji, we end up typing colon dash right parent, colon left parent, right? Now, instead of doing that, we have emojis inbuilt in our phone as well as on our desktops and laptops. So, on phone, when we pick up the keyboard, you have an emoji keyboard, a key which allows you to pick, bring up the emoji keyboard, which will allow you to type what you want to, which will allow you to choose the emoji what you want to display. And on laptops or desktops, you could use Windows full stop and in some cases Windows semicolon to bring up emoji keyboard, where you can choose the emoji that you want to display. Now, what difference does it make as opposed to typing and as opposed to and rather using an emoji from available list? Can anybody say? Exactly. So from accessibility perspective, emoji will be announced when you have a picked up emoji which you pick up and select and insert into the content. The screen reader or the softwares will actually treat it as an emoji, versus if we type it manually, it will be treated as a symbol many times. So it's always good to put emojis from the list that is available with us. Okay?
Explain a little bit more about typing emoji,
Type.
colon and hyphen and.
Correct. So basically, when you type colon hyphen right parent, and if your content ends there, you don't press a space, etc. The screen reader where we have set our punctuations to be read, all punctuations to be read, at the end of the sentence it will say, hi Amar colon dash right parent, as opposed to saying, hi Amar smiley. But if you pick the emoji from the available keyboard, emoji keyboard options, then it will say the exact emoji. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So emojis, again, use the available emojis instead of typing emojis.
And another advantage is you have a variety of emojis if you are
Absolutely.
just type like namaste or set up whatever you want and it will come.
Absolutely. So that's where emojis are very important. The other thing that we want to talk about is broadcasting. Live broadcasting. We all go Facebook Live, YouTube Live, etc., right? Some principles that we learned earlier around audio description, what Dipen sir also talked about, is that see as you describe, describe as you see things, right? So very good practice is to be verbally descriptive when we are doing live, and obviously there is an option within live broadcasting settings of majority of the platforms to turn on captions, so that people with speech and hearing impaired can also read the captions and consume the content. Is that clear? Okay. Any questions so far?
Sometimes we have picture descriptions, people write it in the comments. When they are not able to put it in, like on LinkedIn, a lot of times we've seen find picture description in the comments, and then they will describe in each comment one picture description one by one. So is it of any help? Because I have heard two views. One that it is very difficult to go and find that comment, and one that it is helpful.
So ideal way to put picture description is to use alt text feature, right? That's the ideal way. Only in cases where the description is so huge that it doesn't fit within the alt text character limit, is when I will advise that we put picture description in the comments. Ideally, that should be the first comment, right after the post. The first comment should be the description, so that people at least know that we need to look for the first comment. But I do agree with your point that finding out that particular comment does become problematic.
Other way would be you can actually add the description in the post itself. Other way, the recommended way would be after the along with the post that you are making, you can put something like image description colon, and you can add within the
Yes.
post itself. That will be more usable versus the comments. Because comments it will get mixed up, since other people will also comment, and not all the comments will be displayed all the time.
Absolutely. So that's another way. And what the difference between putting alt text versus versus putting the description within the post is that the description will be viewable to everybody if you put it in the post itself.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you put the description in alt text field, as we saw on LinkedIn's case, it is not viewable for normal users who are not using assistive technology. Okay?
I have a question about WhatsApp.
Yes.
Because, so from as far as I understand, maybe I'm wrong, but as WhatsApp images, even if the image already has alt text, we take it from Word file and paste it in, send it as a WhatsApp image. And if it goes to a group, I don't think it's accessible. And we still have to write image description.
So in WhatsApp, the option that you get to write image description is actually caption. WhatsApp does not have a feature to write alt text yet. So that text is also visible to everybody else. So when you are actually uploading the picture from your phone to WhatsApp, you get that small edit box to type the description, which will actually be captioned image, not an alt text. The other thing that I want to touch upon was transcripts. So many times we have podcasts, right? That's also become a trend nowadays. Podcasts on Spotify, podcasts on Anchor.fm, so many platforms. Apple Podcasts, etc. Now, as I said, for people with speech and hearing impairment, it is not possible to consume content within podcasts because those are purely audio form. So to make sure that they are also able to gather the content, we should provide text transcripts. Now, how do you generate text transcript? Two ways. One, of course, is a manual way of doing things, where somebody sits, listens to the whole podcast and types. And remember when you're typing, include the speaker name, just so that identification becomes easier. That's one way. Second, there are some AI-based tools like Otter, which will allow you to generate transcript of English podcasts so far, and that's quite good. So you can generate transcript, and some platforms do provide you the ability to post transcript along with the podcast. Some don't provide, so you can put the transcript in the description, or you can put a hyperlink to the transcript, which may be available on a separate web page or a separate platform, where someone could just go and read the text instead of listening to the whole podcast. This is clear?
Yes.
And I just want to check time. So we are 12:10 or 12:08 rather. What the one thing that I also want to tell you is the GIFs, GIFs as we call it, or memojis. They are not very accessible. There are a handful of them which have descriptions along with the GIFs. So when we are commenting or when we are using such things, be mindful that these are not very accessible at the moment. So ideally we should avoid using GIFs or memojis. But if we were to use it, we should also check whether it has accompanying text with it or not. That's also very important. I think with this, we have kind of covered pretty much social media accessibility.